Here at Tri-County Motor Speedway, we've got some honored guests up on the hill going into turn number 3. To the right there, you see Kelly Earnhardt. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s sister, the daughter of Dale Earnhardt Sr., who says that Sprint Cup people don't like to come watch some good modified racing, and we've got some dandy stuff going here. We have not moved to a side-by-side battle. They have swapped the lead back and forth. It is a Miller and Savali show, but Jason Myers says, hey, I want a piece of the action. He's back there in third.
This is just absolutely the best modified race I've seen in a long time. These guys have swapped the lead back and forth a minimum of 4 times, Jack.
We had one major retiree when we were in break, and that is the 40 car. And we'll get an update from Kelly Stavitz on that. But first, let's watch and see if Myers can get the best on the inside of the 38. Myers down an entire lane and a half, but then he washes out and can't carry that speed as he gets to the start-finish stripe.
But he's been running that line all night long. I was watching him start back. He was about a second behind those guys, and he just kept using that lower groove, not getting loose up off, as you see right there, just staying under the power and being able. Now he passes LW, moves into second position. So he has been really saving this car, and it looks like it's paying off right now.
Let's go down to Kelly Stavitz and get an update on a guy that was running up front for quite some time till he went to pit road, and that is Frank Fleming. Kelly?
Frank Fleming in the number 40 car. They had the right rear trailing arm broke on the car, so they're done. And this is a real shame. This is a guy who's won a lot of races here in the 80s and 90s. He told me that he loves coming here, was so excited to come back, and that he's had such good luck here. But that luck ends tonight as the 40 is retired, Jack.
The one constant in the battle for the front has been James Savali. First it was L.W. Miller, and now it is Jason Myers, who has taken over the lead momentarily, and look who has battled back from about his 10th starting spot. The kid from West Babylon, New York.
Yeah, but wait a minute now. You told me he pitted, made major adjustments. Whatever they made, Jack, has paid off. This guy's starting to stick his nose in the mix. This is impressive.
Hey, let's give him his props. Before he went to the Whelen Modified Tour in the North, he was the champion here 1 year ago, and he could really muck up the works if he keeps running the way he is now.
Jack, I'm wondering if the Savali and Miller car didn't abuse their tires a little bit early the first 50 laps of this race, and Brumholzer making the chassis adjustment, and then Jason Myers saving his car. Is that the difference we're seeing right now? Both these guys are really moving around the racetrack.
Oh,
they agree.
boy.
That's just plain loose. That's using your tires. This has hurt them guys, believe this or not. This has come back to haunt them. That extra 2 or 3 tenths faster lap, Jack.
Now, look at Brunhosel. Little George, I think, has got better tires, because if you look at this gaggle of cars, and meanwhile, Myers has taken off to about a half-second lead. This battle for second, Brunhosel is the most stable of those 3 cars we're watching.
Yeah, and we see Miller.
See, here he goes. To the inside, he can make it stick.
And Miller's just protecting. He's getting a little bit looser and looser and looser. There he is, loose again. And the thing is that this is what these guys have done. They have saved that little bit of aggressiveness to give them a reward. And now Myers has pulled away to about a second lead already. So, you know, can Brumholzer get by and close the gap up?
And what about Johnny Smith, the orange car, the 25? He's right in there. Meanwhile, we're getting a little bumper tapping going on. Savali wanted to let L.W. Miller know that he's got Brunhosel on the inside in that 28 car, and it's time to go yet again.
Jackie, I think what we ought to do...
Oh, look at Johnny Smith. Tries to make it stick on the inside. Halfway down the back straightaway. Can he get the best of the 28? Brunhosel on the high side. Smith rim riding out of the turn. This is the battle for the 4th position. Who gets it?
Lap car in the way is going to block all
but
of
you got room,
advances.
Jimmy. You got room on this racetrack. Oh, Savali has the door closed by Kreitz in the 15. Darrell Kreitz didn't see him maybe and started to come up.
Now Kreitz has moved over, said let the leaders go here. You have to give him respect. Jack, you know what I think? I think we need to run here weekly. This is absolutely the best modified race that I've seen in years.
We'll run weekly here if I can own the car and you drive it.
Oh, I'll gladly drive it anytime. you get me a good car, I'm coming back. But what we see, Savali and Miller, even though Jason Myers has pulled away to a big lead, these guys still have the points on their mind, Savali and Miller. That's a 5-point difference.
Yeah, but I am impressed at just how hard these guys are racing each other. This was at one time the battle for the lead. Now it is just a battle for second position. You'd think this was the Daytona 500 the way they're going after it.
And what's interesting, Jack, this is only lap 85, 65 laps to go.
Savali got sideways there in the corner in the 79. Miller is starting to try and pinch him down, and Savali just rooted his way up there.
Now Smith's getting by Brumholzer.
It's Brunhosel. Brunhosel.
I know George really well.
I know you do. That's why we have.
Oh, Somali and look at this. Somali and Miller not happy with one another.
Payback.
Look at this. No. Now it opens the door for Smith and Brumholzer.
Here's what happens when you get ticked off. You lose focus, and the beneficiary of all that was the 25. John Smith moves into second place. He tangles now with L.W. Miller. Hey, the gloves have taken off here. This is some knockdown, drag-out racing.
Well, I think right now Miller's not really worried about Smith or Brumholzer. I think what he's really worried about is just keeping Savali back. And in turn, it's actually costing positions right now.
Let's reset the field. Jason Myers has now moved to about a 3 or 4 second lead over this gaggle of cars. John Smith now in second, and he is in that orange car. L.W. Miller slipping and sliding in the 38. He is in the 36 is in the third spot. George Brunhosel, the third, has moved up to fourth. James Savali has faded to fifth. Andy Seiss, by the way, who went to the back after an early spin, has moved into sixth position. His points aspirations are starting to get heated up yet again. We have just gone beyond the halfway mark. 89 laps have been completed. Now it'll be all about tires here in the Tri-County 150.
The weather in New England might be cooling down, but the points battle in the Whelen Modified Tour is heating up. The CarQuest Fall Final might determine the 2010 championship. It all happens right here October 6th on Versus.
And it indeed will be the next to last race for the Northern, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And you talk about the points battle here, Jimmy. It's a torrid points battle up in the north as well. And all of a sudden, with what happened at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, an early retiree by Ted Christopher, and our buddy, the 16, Mike Stefanik, back in the hunt as well. So you want to be with us 1 week from now to take a look at that. And then, of course, the World Series at Thompson. Meanwhile, we need to get an update on what has happened to James Savali, one of our leaders, in terms of tire wear, because as we have now reached the final 50 laps of this event, everybody have settled down a little bit, Kelly, but this guy, Jason Myers, looking for his first victory, he seems to have the better of everybody, including points leader Savali.
Well, and that's right. Remember, we saw James Savali leading late into the race at Langley, and then he lost his tires a little bit too early. We saw him pushing hard with L.W. Miller early in this race leading, but he had an interesting thought. He said, you know, when you're out front, you're always second-guessing yourself on just how hard you need to push it to stay in the lead without letting those tires go away. We've seen him fall back in the pack now, and you got to kind of wonder, with Myers leading out front now, he's got a pretty good gap, but at what cost? How much tire has he lost getting that gap out in the lead?
I begin to think that Jason Myers has not been challenged at all after he made the run to the front. He stays out front. Got to give kudos to John Smith, solidly in the second. But here's, as you look at Myers, he's going on lap driving. He can go on the high side. He can go on the low side. I don't see him abusing his tires. Do you?
He is not abusing his tires. He has stayed on the bottom. He is rolling the corner. We talked about it earlier on our opening. You have to roll the corner, wait to put your throttle down. Very determined, very patient driver right now is paying off.
Do you see the new hood application on those cars? It's so neat, but you want to know what's underneath that hood?
Big power.
A Roush Fenway Ford. Roush Yates power plant for the Myers brothers. And I was down in the infield during practice, and with all due respect,
they rumble.
A Ford has got a growl to it.
They rumble, there's no doubt. We've seen this sport really advance. It used to all just be the small block Chevy. But what we're seeing now more and more is some Fords joining in. And also, there's some Dodge engines also looking to get into this sport.
Here's the guy that during the week reports to Richard Childress Racing, the driver of the number 25 from Mount Airy, North Carolina, John Smith. A great ride. All these Southern Modified Tour races that have been on Versus, John Smith has always been a player, but has never been able to get into the a podium position. Tonight he's doing a fine job as he is now being posted in the second spot. And what about Andy Seiss, right behind Smith?
He went to the rear of the field.
You see him down low there.
He spun out early. We talked about he was first caution, and he has battled his way back. Reminds me a little bit about the Northern Tour where Priest spun out at Riverhead and come back to get second.
Right.
But I want to get back to the 25 of John Smith. I was talking to him earlier, and he told me, Jimmy, all during practice, I had the oldest set of tires I could put on the car. I was more concerned knowing that we couldn't put tires on what I could get my car adjusted. Right now, he is closing in on Jason Myers, putting the pressure on.
By the way, you may be wondering where last week's winner at Langley, the Langley winner, Tim Brown. Tim Brown, during the week, works for Michael Waltrip Racing, was intending to race here and entered here, then got a call from his boss, Michael Waltrip, told to report to Phoenix International Raceway, where Michael Waltrip Racing are testing their Toyotas in preparation for the chase for the championship. Tough break for Brown.
It's definitely a tough break, especially you hate to be a driver that gets that duty calls. And, you know, these guys aren't professionals, but professional drivers.
Look at this.
Not for a living, but here's
we're starting to heat up action again for the lead.
On the Myers man.
Myers a little bit high. Now let's see. You see the nose start to hunt on the 25. He's got to get that tamed if he's going to be able to make the inside move. But what would you do if you were Jason Myers right now?
Right now what he's doing is telling him, he bumped him there a little bit. He says, listen, I'm here. Give me a little room to race you. This is the key to a modified. Hey, I'm here. I'm going to race you. Give me some room. That's what Myers is doing right now. He is respecting Smith.
Now, this is okay. When we did Bowman Gray, he had a little tap, 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 get guys sideways. You're going a lot faster here. Now, look who says,
wait a minute, how about Seiss getting in here?
Yeah.
Where'd this Seuss come from?
Not Seuss, that's Seiss. He was reading the book.
Hey, Jackie, you know, I'm hoping for grandkids someday, so I'm getting ready. I thought this was Seuss's, Dr. Seuss's nephew. Here it is, Andy Seiss, not Andy Seuss. Andy getting very loose. Caution on the back straightaway.
That is the 0 car of Greg Butcher. He was a couple of laps down. Let's see if it brings out the caution. So far, it has not.
No, it has not brought the caution out. Boy, the drivers were hoping for the caution. Myers gets away from Smith and Seiss. That was another caution.
That's the 78 car, and that will bring out the pale silks. That is Donnie Lax. Donnie Lax brings the car out, and if I am Jason Myers right now, when I go by, I go, hey, I owe you one, dude.
Yeah. I think all the drivers needed this break right now, because this is going to be this is a good time to realize, get some brake adjustments, things like that, get your car adjusted for the last 30 laps, 20 laps.
And with 122 laps in the record books, now it's short track Saturday night, just like you used to race. There are only a few laps to go right here.